The way that many of us perceive the world may be different than someone who has autism or ADHD. And usually when our next guest comes in, we talk about how to best help neurodiverse individuals living in the world around them and understanding how they see the world. But today, we thought we'd try something a little bit different. So joining me now, we have Tiffany Tobkin with Empowering Kids Perham. Welcome back to the show, Tiffany.
Yes, thank you. Good morning.
Yeah, so okay, what does it mean to be neurodiverse?
Great question. So I think a lot of times words can kind of get thrown out that unless you're in the profession or in the community, you may not understand, and they sound very complex. So neurodiverse is essentially just the different ways that minds work. So somebody that has a typical mind would be a neurotypical thinker, whereas somebody who may have ADHD or autism, they have a neurodiverse mind. Their brain works, thinks, processes information in a diverse and different way.
Okay, so when it comes to informing ourselves and others on this topic, where should we look?
Great question. So one of the kind of famous people in the autistic community is somebody named Temple Grandin. So if you look at the first slide, you'll see just a little information about her. She's Dr. Temple Grandin. She works to understand her own mind and other autistic minds. She's a professor of animal science. She's an expert in animal behavior. She actually has created different cattle processes, procedures, and equipment that's used today that's beneficial for the animals. One of the things that she discusses a lot, and I had the privilege to hear her speak a couple of years ago, is she talks about the importance of having diverse minds. She says going all the way back to when people were cave people, if we were all based on social interests, we would have just sat around chatting. There wouldn't have been the invention of the fire or the wheel or finding shelter. So there have always been all kinds of minds. It's just now being able to identify them and to appreciate them. And we can do that by learning about them. So one of the ways is just looking up Temple Grandin and watching a TED Talk that she has, reading some of her literature. And she was a part of a production of a movie about her life. And in this movie, she does a wonderful job of letting the viewers kind of put themselves, I guess, in her mind and see how she sees the world. So Temple does this great job of kind of bringing us into her world so we can join in this shared world. And then when starting with Temple, that's how one individual with autism thinks and sees the world. That kind of can then open the door into lots of other ways to surround ourselves with neurodiverse people and content.
So really, I mean, everybody should go ahead and watch this or watch Temple, because whether you're a teacher or a parent or a sibling of somebody with ADHD or autism, you're telling us that we can learn just by watching her.
So I loved the movie. I'm not endorsed by Temple Grandin in any way, but I think that this movie just does a really nice job of allowing us to kind of think and understand how other people think. And we need to remember this isn't how all autistic individuals see the world, but it's how one of them sees the world. And if you look on the second slide, you'll see some more ways that we can inform ourselves and inform our families and create a culture of appreciation for diversity. Oftentimes, when we think about diversity, we think about race, and that is a piece of diversity. But another piece of diversity is how we think and our abilities. And ADHD and autism are different kinds of diversities. So we can read books with our children and for ourselves that have characters that have autism or ADHD, or are written by individuals that have autism or ADHD. We can read newspaper articles about the community and about things that they're interested in, different laws that they're trying to become involved in to make the world more neurodiverse. We can follow them on social media, Instagram accounts, TikTok accounts, Facebook groups. We also want to, again, try to, in our searching and understanding and exposure to different diversities, is using preferred language. The community likes to be called autistic individuals. They want to use the terms neurotypical, neurodiverse. And we want to engage in conversations and kind of shift away from this perspective that we know what's best for them, but listening to them and their needs and what they want.
Yeah, that makes so much sense too. I think with a lot more families experiencing autism and again ADHD, I think this is so important. So I appreciate that you're sharing all of this. Any other tips for families?
I would say just continue to engage in conversations. And it's about how we lead and respond to these conversations, that how others around us or children are going to respond to that. So when somebody is maybe engaging in a atypical behavior or kind of talking in an unusual way, we can just say, oh, I wonder if that person has a diverse brain, or I wonder what that person is thinking, rather than viewing it from maybe a negative lens because we're afraid or unsure. Let's use our I wonder phrases and then surround ourselves with other literature and information so that way we can know and find answers to those wonderings.
Awesome. Thank you, Tiffany, so much for being with us again. And how can people get in touch with you if they need to find out more information?
Yeah, so you can always just go to Google and type in Empowering Kids Perham. We have a Facebook page and a website as well.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Yes, you too.
Coming up on today's show, a show just for golfers. We're talking to a local golf pro next.